All right, people. Isn't it reasonable that if Jesus came down and inspected the early congregations, 7 of them, and he found 6 out of the 7 in need of serious reproof and warnings? Like warnings like, if you do not change, I'm going to come back and remove your lampstand. See, that's not approval. That's not an approval. Someone told me Jesus did approve of all 7 congregations, but threatened to remove their lampstand if they do not change. See, they needed to change. Their way was not acceptable. All 6 congregations. The only one Jesus accepted was 1 congregation out of 7, Philadelphia. So isn't it reasonable to think that because 6 out of 7 failed his inspection back then, that today, if we had an inspection by Jesus, it would be like the same odds. 6 out of 7 congregations would have serious problems, serious reproof, warnings from Jesus, threats from Jesus to remove his congregation and hand them over to Satan if they don't change. This is the problem today. Congregations think they're all doing a good job. Oh, that's not happening in our congregation. Ha ha! This congregation down in what's that state there? Arkansas. We were down there. We were moving. We went down there with a big tractor trailer full of a VIP move. A very important person. He was a professor in one of the colleges down. We were going to move him to not Argentina. I just said Arkansas. And we went to that congregation on a Sunday, and we wanted to hire some good help, clean helpers that don't swear, and plus at the same time help their congregation members to, have a chance to get $200. It was a legitimate job. Mayflower is a legitimate job. So it wasn't a job from a private secret moving company. No, this was Mayflower, legitimate moving company. We went down there, and he owned a truck, so he could pay them. He was an elder in the Bristol West congregation up in Connecticut. And they took us downstairs, the elders, and they escorted us. They said, "You're not going nowhere. You're coming with us." And they literally grabbed my arm and pulled me downstairs. And they said, "We don't know about you people up north. How dare you come down here and do this evil thing you're doing, this wicked thing you're doing." What? Offering brothers the chance to make $200 from a legitimate company called Mayflower. Mayflower, you could Google that. It's a legitimate company. It's not a scam. It's not a scam. And they were interpreting the organization's warning that people come to your congregation with scams. That wasn't a scam. That they could look and see the truck. They could see the truck outside their window, that it was a Mayflower truck. It's a legitimate business. It wasn't a scam. Anyways, they said, "You people up north, I don't know about you brothers up there trying to bring your corruption down here. You're trying to mislead the brothers down here. You got another thing coming. You better go back to north, dragging your heels back up there." Stuff like that. We got all kind of threats, and we're going to contact the organization about your Illegal operation. Illegal operation. What? That's weird. But weird is that the brothers in Arkansas had some kind of grudge against the brothers up north. You northerners think you can come down here and corrupt. Bring your corruption down here. Well, we're not going to stand for that. That was another brother. We're not going to stand for you bringing your corruption down here and misleading the brothers down here. That's ridiculous. Anyways, not all congregations know what's going on. Right? That congregation is cuckoo, cuckoo. No brain there. They adopted the opinion of the world around them. It was the world around them in Arkansas that hated white men like myself from up north. They adopted the ways of the world. And they were trying to say that we were worldly brothers that were delinquent, not found the organization's orders. We can't work for Mayflower. Hello, brothers in Wallkill, Warwick. We can't work for Mayflower Moving Company. Got any other ridiculous orders you want me to follow? McDonald's. McDonald's is selling us false beef, not real beef, not 100% beef. So you can't work there. Got anything else? Huh? You're eliminating territories like social media. Hello, McFly. How can you tell me that the people's lives on social media are expendable? How are they expendable? How are their lives expendable that you decided, 7 men in Wallkill decided that we, Jehovah's Witnesses, cannot and will not give life-saving information to those people on social media? Like if they don't need it. How are they going to get in? How are they going to get into God's kingdom? Hello, anybody there? Anybody alive up there? Any thinkers up there in Wallkill and Warwick? Tell me, how are they going to get into God's kingdom if no one was sent out to them? Huh? How are they going to get everlasting life if they're spending all day on social media? That's what people do these days. That's where the people are. Hello? If we don't get life-saving information to them, they might be destroyed. And I'm going to have blood guilt on me because of you. So I'm going to follow you. Really? I'm going to follow you 7 men into destruction because it most certainly is not the will of Jehovah that we mark people as being expendable. Kick them to the curb. Oh, kick that person to the curb. I don't like the way they part their hair. Oh, that person's on social media. It's an acceptable loss. It's an acceptable loss. They're expendable. What's more important is that we have a copyright on that literature. That's what's important here. Our copyright. You better respect our copyright. You better respect our orders. We're taking the lead here. Sounds like Satan is taking the lead there. That doesn't sound like Jehovah. That doesn't sound like Jesus making people's lives expendable. It says it is the will of God that all sorts of people get saved. Well, all sorts of people. Even the sort of person that is on social media. How do you say, social media is, I don't like it, so you can't go on social media? We're saying social media is all entirely bad. We 7 men declared all social media off limits for Jehovah's Witnesses. Said Satan. That's Satan saying that. Satan got in those people. I'm telling you. Wake up. Is anybody else awake? Hello. It's like I'm in the Philadelphia congregation and you're in one of them other congregations that failed the test. Is that what you are? You in the 6th congregation following men rather than the Lamb of God. It says in Revelation, these are the ones coming out of tribulation. These are the ones following the Lamb wherever he goes. Not following men, following the Lamb. Hello? True Jehovah's Witnesses follow the Lamb, not men. Especially men that are trying to slow down the preaching work, stop pioneers from doing their 120 hours, and would you lower it down to 80 now? You know, if people want to slow down their pioneer work, they could just become auxiliary pioneers, right? Who gave you the authority? Because the former governing body said, beware. If the devil gets in to the governing body, the first things that are going to happen is they're going to slow down the preaching word. They're going to attack Jehovah's name, and they did that too. They told us not to use Jehovah's name in prayer. They're going to slow down the pioneer work. That's what they said. They mentioned pioneer. They gave a talk. The former governing body gave a talk right in my congregation in Bristol, Connecticut. And I heard that. I don't know, in the late 1980s. But it's still valid. They said what would happen if Satan got a hold of the governing body. They would slow down the work. They would try to stop you from using Jehovah's name. They would attack our personal prayers. And that's what they did. Our personal prayers. Oh, you can't use Jehovah's name in your prayers. Especially in the meeting prayers. You better not be using Jehovah's name in the meeting prayers. Does that sound like Jehovah? Does that sound like something Jesus would say? Don't use my Father's name. No. Don't use my Father's name, Jehovah, in your prayers. No, Jesus wanted Jehovah's name known and used. And they're trying to say, if you use Jehovah's name in prayer more than once or twice, you're abusing his name. You're abusing it. There's a difference between using his name and abusing his name. Let me tell you what. 7, you 7 up there in Warwick. Let me tell you what. King David would strongly disagree with you. Abraham would put his foot down and he'd probably even spit on you and turn his back to you in disgrace. You're a disgrace to these people, to Moses. Moses would definitely say, how dare you? How dare you try to slow down the use of Jehovah's name? How dare you try to slow the preaching work down? Jesus is going to say that. How dare you try to get men to follow Satan rather than the Lamb of God? Follow you. Because you've been influenced by Satan. You've been influenced by Satan, and my people will not follow you. Jesus is going to be happy. Jesus is going to be happy with me that I'm not following the 7 in people influenced by Satan in that governing body. Jesus is going to be happy that I'm not following them. He's going to be happy. He approves. Jesus approves of us not following men. He approves of it. He said in Matthew chapter 24, verse 48 to 51, that the faithful discreet slave class, woe to you if you should start beating on the slaves, you evil slave. See? Now they're giving orders to you and me that go against Jehovah's will. And that's what Jesus was talking about. That's what Jesus was talking about. Anyone else awake? Is anybody awake? Because in that prophecy of the last days, Jesus said, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. Oh, be awake to this conversation, this prophecy. Pay attention to it. Remain awake to this prophecy. This is going to happen. In the last days, the faithful deceived slave class is going to turn evil. That's what he tried to say. Anybody awake to it except David still in here? Are you going to disfellowship me because I'm awake? Come on, spiritually awake. Because I know what you're doing. And you don't like that I know what you're doing, what you're up to. You don't like it? That's too bad. That's too bad. You're going to disfellowship me for believing Jesus' words over your words? I believe Jesus. You're going to disfellowship me for that?